She moved in with her best friend to save money, so I handed her the keys to her new single life. The words came out of Clara's mouth with such casual indifference that for a second, I thought she was joking. We were standing in the kitchen of the apartment I had spent 3 years paying the lion's share for, and she looked me dead in the eye and said she was moving in with Julian. Julian was her male best friend, the guy who was always lurking in the periphery of our relationship, the one she called at 2 a.m. When we had an argument, the one whose photos filled her Instagram while I was relegated to a stray tag in a story once every 6 months. She told me it was strictly for financial reasons. She said the city was getting too expensive, her freelance work was drying up, and Julian had a spare room in a trendy loft that he was offering her for a fraction of what we paid here. She didn't ask me what I thought. She didn't consult me about the future of our relationship. She just declared it like she was announcing she'd bought a new pair of shoes. "It's just logical, Mark," she said, leaning against the counter ID scrub that morning. "We're struggling, and this takes the pressure off. It'll be closer to the downtown offices, and Julian is even going to help me with my portfolio. You should be happy for me." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized that the woman I loved had been gone for a long time. In her place was a person who viewed our relationship as a convenience, a safety net she was now trading in for a shiny new model. She expected me to be the supportive, quiet boyfriend who would wait for her, while she lived her new life with the man she'd been emotionally cheating with for years. "That works out perfectly," I said. My voice was so calm it actually startled her. She blinked, her expression shifting from defensive to confused. She probably expected me to beg, to offer to pay the full rent, to cry. But something in me had finally gone cold. The years of "don't worry about Julian and you're just being insecure" finally hit a wall. "Wait, really?" she asked, a small, selfish smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "You're not mad? I thought you'd make a big deal out of the guy friend thing." I just shrugged and took a sip of my coffee. I told her that I completely understood the need for financial stability and that I wouldn't want to stand in the way of her career growth. I even offered to help her pack. She was thrilled. She spent the rest of the evening humming to herself, scrolling through Pinterest for loft aesthetic ideas, already mentally moved out. What she didn't know was that while she was dreaming of her new life with Julian, I was making moves of my own. I waited until later that night, after she'd filled 4 boxes with her clothes and was feeling particularly proud of herself. We were sitting in the living room, the space feeling hollowed out by the open boxes. "Since you're moving out on the 1st, I started, my voice steady, I called the landlord tonight. Eve officially taken my name off the lease renewal. I'm moving into a studio closer to my office, and since I'm the only one on the utility accounts, Eve scheduled them to be shut off on the morning you leave." Clara stopped taping a box. She looked up, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean? We have 2 months left on the lease." I smiled at her, the kind of smile you give a stranger. I told her that since she had made a unilateral decision to move in with another man without talking to me, I had made a unilateral decision to end our relationship. I explained that I wasn't going to be her backup plan or the person who paid for the storage unit of her old life while she played house with Julian. "I also called your parents," I added quietly. Her face went pale. "I told them we've broken up because you've decided to move in with Julian to save money." Your dad seemed concerned, especially since he's the one who's been co-signing your car loan. He told me he's not comfortable co-signing for someone living in a bachelor loft with a friend instead of a partner. Clara started to shake. The reality of her financial genius move was starting to crumble. "Mark, you can't do that. That's private. And what about my stuff? I can't fit everything into Julian's spare room. It's tiny." I stood up and walked toward the bedroom. "That sounds like a Julian problem, Clara. Or maybe a you problem. You wanted to be independent and financially savvy. This is what independence looks like. You don't get the benefits of a 3-year partnership when you decide to treat that partner like an option." She started to cry, the ugly, panicked kind of sobbing. She tried to tell me that she didn't mean it, that we could work it out, that she could stay here if I just renewed the lease. But I was done. I told her that she had 24 hours to get the rest of her things out before I changed the locks, as the landlord had already agreed to a walkthrough. I handed her a final envelope, It was a breakdown of the last 6 months of groceries and utilities she'd promised to pay back but never did. I told her I'd be seeing her in small claims court if the check wasn't on the counter by morning. Watching her pack the rest of her life in tears was the most peaceful night of sleep Eve had in years. She thought she was moving up, but she forgot that when you burn a bridge, you'd better be a damn good swimmer. She left at 6 a.m. In a rainstorm, her car packed so tightly she could barely see out the rearview mirror. No goodbye, no apology. Just the sound of the door clicking shut on a life she thought she could throw away for free.